And here we have Felis catus in one of its many natural environments, the top of the refrigerator. Stupid cat. So. I've got M11 all filed away. I'm going to talk about M12 today. And okay. Something just threw me off. No, don't mind me. So, M12, right? We've got a lot of interesting things going on in M12. All the cards with Scry from M11, they're gone. Lightning Bolt, gone. Been retired for the second time. Come on, man. Lightning Bolt's still a contender. Or, at least it is till the end of the month, technically. Yeah, that's right, folks. Anyways, so let's talk about what we got going on in M12. We've got, look at this, we've got Sarah Angel and Sanger Vampire. Both in a core set together. That hasn't happened regularly, you know. It happens every now and again these days, you know. Sarah, apparently they've decided belongs back at Uncommon where she originally was, all well and good. And, you know, Sanger's at an Uncommon. They can sit there and they can party together in the base set just like they used to do in the old days, right, guys? Yeah. So what else we got going on? We've got some funky things going on, a lot of sets, a lot of cycles. We've got the Artifacts of Empires cycle going on. It's an interesting concept. I'm not sure what I think of it. They're interesting cards. I don't think the combination is going to be tournament viable, but you know there's going to be a bunch of people making casual decks based around them. The Scepter of Empires is 3 colorless for an artifact that taps for 1 damage target player. If you control a full set, it's 3. The Crown is 2 to play, 3, and tap it to tap a creature. If you have the whole set, you gain control of it. Instead. And the Throne is 4, and it's 1 and tap for a 1/1 white token soldier. Or if you control the full set, it's 5 tokens. Kid science, fun stuff. Jeez. So yeah, that's kind of spiffy. Some people saw it and they're like, oh, we're getting like other, like fill in the blank card game where you have to have sets of stuff and blah 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 blah. And I'm like, yeah, like, you know, Magic hasn't been doing that since antiquities with the Urza lands, right, guys? Oh boy. And they want to try to, like, you know, compare it in this way to like Yu-Gi-Oh or something else, I don't know. And it's just like, whoa, if you want to make that comparison, it's like, hey, why aren't you comparing it to the old Decipher Star Wars CCG? You know, the one where, like, you had a card called Vader's Lightsaber that would provide better bonuses if you gave it to Darth Vader. Yeah, I know, crazy stuff, right? But what do I know? What do I know? Apparently nothing, right? Who cares? What else we got? Monolith. Monolith, it's a common artifact. It's 3 to play, and it taps for 1 mana of any color. I don't think it's really constructed worth it, but it's definitely a solid draft card. Solid and limited. I mean, and that's mostly what it is. It's a limited card. There are better, faster, nastier ways to do mana fixing in constructed environments. Sundial of the Infinite. This is an interesting one. This is a card that you use with anything that has some sort of a timed trigger or comes into play drawback. It's 2 colors, it's an artifact, 1 color, and tap it to end the turn. Use this ability only on your turn. It has a lot of crazy little uses. It's a fun card. It's innovative. It's just cute. You gotta like it. Great sword. Here's another thing. Sword of Vengeance from the last set is out. There are some decent equipment in this set. Not as many as there could be, in my opinion. I mean, like in previous sets, we've had like Loxodon Warhammer reprinted in base sets. We've had Gorgon Flail, which I believe was new in M10. I think it was the only set it was printed in, if I recall correctly. I mean, you've had all sorts of crazy stuff running around in base sets for equipment in the last handful of years, and sometimes some of it was good. I believe we've got, but you know, for major equipment in this set, we've got the Great Sword, which great limited card, pretty much worthless for constructed play. There are better cards, you know. It's 3 to drop, 3 to equip. Equipped creature gets +3/+0. It's not bad. We've got Kite Shield, 0 to drop, 3 to equip. Equipped creature gets +0/+3. Technically inferior to I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head, but it's another shield artifact. It's from Scars of Mirrodin that it also gives the creature vigilance. So yeah. But I guess, you know, they felt this was the right way to do it. I don't know. Swiftfoot Boots. In many ways, better than Lightning Greaves. It's 2 to play, 1 to equip, whereas the Greaves was it 2 and 0? I believe it was 2 and 0. The old Lightning Greaves gave Shroud and Haste. These give Hexproof and Haste. Hexproof is an ability that appeared on cards before M12, but M12 they made a keyword up for it. Well, technically they made the keyword up for it in the Commander precons. Technically that's when they did it. But here we have, you know, Swiftfoot Boots, Hexproof. Your equipped creature, Hexproof is a creature with Hexproof, a permanent with Hexproof, anything with Hexproof. Technically, I think you can give a player Hexproof, or even, you know, other, you know, non-creature permanents, blah 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 blah. The idea being though is that Hexproof says that the item in question that has Hexproof cannot be targeted by enemy players. World Slayer. This was a weird choice for a reprint. I mean a totally screwy choice for a reprint. 5 colorless, artifact, equips for 5. When equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, destroy all permanents other than World Slayer. This is one of those cards that you just look at it and you're like, eh? I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm sure there's ways to build around it and all, but good gods, really, people? World Slayer of all things? Did Wizards just decide they want to print an example of what a nearly unplayable card looks like? Which, the sad part is, it's a really cool looking card with a great name. Adaptive Automaton. Now, this is a card a lot of people have been waiting for the likes of which for a long time. It's 3 to play, it's a 2/2. When it comes to play, you choose a creature type. Adaptive Automaton is that creature type. In addition to being a construct, I believe. Yep. Other creatures of the chosen type get +1/+1 as long as the automaton's in play. That's funky. It's a universal lord. That's nice. That's really nice. Solemn Simulacrum, it's a reprint, it's a really good card. Yes, it's a 2/2 for 4. But the thing is when he hits the battlefield, you tutor for a basic land that you put into play tapped. When he goes to the graveyard for play, you draw a card. I mean, this guy is an incredible card advantage dude. No two ways about it. Thran Golem, another reprint. He's funky. He's an interesting casual card. Don't think he's ever really going to see constructed play. He's 5 mana for a 3/3. If he is enchanted, he gets +2/+2 flying first strike and trample. It's really nice turning him into a 5/5 flying first strike trample by throwing a pacifism on him. Yeah, Pentavis. It's got to be one of those. Pentavis is gonna have, it's a tricky card for limited, for draft, sealed deck, maybe even for casual as well. There are some ways to abuse it in constructed, but I don't think it's going to be tournament worthy. This is one of those cards where it's just like, hi, I've got Grave Pact on the board. Whenever a creature I control dies, all of my opponents sacrifice a creature. Pentavis. I pay 1, I pull a counter off of it, I make a token dude. I pay 1, I sacrifice the token dude to put a counter on the Pentavis. The token counts as going to the graveyard. Everybody sacks a creature. Well, everyone but me, because I already lost one anyway, theoretically. So, yeah, it does mean stuff. So, shabam. Let's look at the colored stuff. One of the interesting changes they made, while they are keeping the whole, there's a Planeswalker and 2 associated helper cards, they've mixed some things up a little bit. In white, we lose. Here's the way they mix up is instead of having the helper cards be a common and an uncommon, the helper cards are now a common and a rare. Kind of interesting. Of course, this required new cards to be made up. All well and good. More than you might think, because they also swapped some Planeswalkers around. White. We no longer have a Johnny Vengeance in white. He was not reprinted in this set. But we do have Gideon's Lawkeeper, which is basically a cheaper version of Master Decoy or Blinding Mage, but with 1 life's toughness. All well and good. That's alright, you're not looking at a set with Prodigal Pyromancer anyway, right? Gideon's Avenger, who's just plain nasty. He's a 2/2 for a Cullison double white. Whenever a creature an opponent controls becomes tapped, he gets a +1/+1 counter. This guy does funk. Oh yeah, and a little guy named Gideon Jura. He's Gideon. What do you say? He was originally in, trying to remember where his original. I want to say he was originally in Shard's Block. What was he in? Zendikar. I can't recall. I don't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, Gideon's nasty. Gideon's a beatstick. Archon of Justice. It's reprinted from the Lorwyn Shadowmoor Super Block. It's a 4/4 flyer for 3 and double white. When he hits the graveyard from play, exile target permanent. That's not a bad lead. That's not a bad hits the graveyard ability. It's really not. They've tried the keyword goes to graveyard from play as dies. I'm not really fond of it, and I'm hoping that it doesn't really catch on as an actual mechanical word. Sort of like bury was an actual mechanical word at one point. It meant destroy without possibility of regeneration. So, for example, when I first started playing in Revised, Wrath of God and Terror said bury on them. Grand Abolisher. Here's another fun one. He's a 2/2 for white. That's not too bad. At a rare slot, so he has to do something funky. During your turn, your opponents can't cast spells or activate abilities of artifacts, creatures, or enchantments. he shuts down counter spells. Right there. Bada bing, bada bang, bada boom, he shuts down counter spells. So yeah, he changes the game a little bit. Mesa Enchantress, she's a funky reprint. Between things like Mesa Enchantress and the Golem I was talking about a second ago, the Thran Golem. You're thinking they're trying to make creature enchantments, auras, or just enchantments in general, a stronger presence in the game, and they have been trying to do that a bit. We're seeing better creature enchantments running around with like the Angelic Destiny, which I don't have a copy of here. The enchantment that like seriously buffs a creature, gives it special abilities, and the enchantment recurs itself if it goes to the graveyard from play. Oh yeah. The Enchantress, she's a 0/2 for 3. Whenever you cast an enchantment, draw a card. Spirit Mantle is a interesting little creature enchantment. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and protection from creatures. That's some interesting funk. You know? Arbalest Elite, he's a 2/3 for 2 and double white. 2 and a white, and tap him for 3 to target attacking or blocking creature, and the Arbalest Elite doesn't untap during your next untap. It's interesting. I mean, it's an okay defensive card in a limited environment. I don't think it's going to see any constructed play really. Alabaster Mage goes good with anything that does direct damage, like say for example the Alabaster Elite, the Arbalest Elite. It's part of a cycle of mages. You see one in every color for our colorless and for 1 and 1. That is 1 colorless and 1 of the appropriate color. I believe they're all 2/1s. Alabaster Mage, you pump a colorless and a white to give a creature lifelink till end of turn. Well, creature you control. They're all on creature you control. And there is reasons for this. Because some of these abilities would be really weird if you gave them to your opponent's creatures. Or even, heavens forbid it, targeting opponent's creatures. Timely Reinforcements. This is a weird little card. It's 2 and a white for sorcery. If you have less life than an opponent, gain 6 life. If you have fewer creatures than an opponent, you get a trio of 1/1 white soldier tokens. It's interesting. If you, it's a really interesting card. Once again, it's one of those cards that's really great and limited, but I have questions about its appropriateness for constructed. Oblivion Ring. O-Ring, originally in Lorwyn. It saw a reprint in a Lara block. Here it is in core set. O-Ring is funk. It's 2 and a white. When it hits the board, exile target non-land permanent. When it leaves the board, return the permanent exiled to play. Of course, the most infamous thing to do with O-Ring, of course, is you play it. It comes into playability, hits the stack. Before that resolves, you play something to return the O-Ring to your hand. O-Ring returns to your hand. Its leaves playability goes onto the stack, on top of its comes into play. So before you've removed anything, you're trying to return it. Hasn't removed anything yet, so there's nothing to return. So that ability does nothing. Then its exile ability goes off. You exile something. There's no way to get that back now, shy of something like Pull from Eternity or Ring of Maruf or something. I don't know. There's just no way to. There's almost no way to do it. In fact, I don't think there's any way in Standard right now to do it. I'm not even sure if Standard goes as far back as Time Spiral, because if it doesn't go as far back as, Standard, if Extended, not that Extended, last I heard, is particularly popular, but if Extended doesn't go as far back as Time Spiral, there's basically no way to get that card back. None at all. And the battery on this thing's running low, so I'm probably going to have to stop somewhere in the middle and charge it up and then splice, but that's okay. I'm not going to try and rush through this. Armored Warhorse, it's new to the set. It's white for a 2/3 at a common. That's not bad. It's reasonably solid. Griffin Sentinel. It was in the last set as well, I believe. It's a 1/3 flying vigilance for 2 and a white. It's not bad. It's pretty solid. Assault Griffin. It's not an exciting card. It's 3 and a white for a 3/2 flyer. Not exciting, but it's reasonably solid. Peregrine Griffin. We're looking at 4 and a white for a 2/4 flying first strike. I would have been happier if they reprinted Razorfoot Griffin or a Kundu Griffin, which is 2/2 flying first strike for a little bit less mana. Maybe that's just me, I don't know. But yeah, it looks like they've got a Griffin theme going on. Oh, what's this, Griffin Rider? Colors and a white for a 1/1. If you control a Griffin, it gets +3/+3 and flying. So you can drop this on turn 2. Turn 3, drop the Guardian one. Yeah, the Griffin Sentinel, and on turn 3 you're swinging with a 5/5, with a 4/4 flyer. That's pretty saucy. Pretty saucy. Stonehorn Dignitary is kind of interesting. When he hits the battlefield, target opponent skips his or her next combat phase. That's a weird thing. It's kind of funky. I'm sure people have already found ways to do funk with him to stop your opponent from ever getting a combat phase, like, you know, I don't know, venturing him every turn. Yeah, you know, it shuts down people whose, you know, primary win condition is turn creature sideways. But overall, it's not an exciting creature in the least. Alright, you know what, before I move on to green, I'm just going to stop this and splice them together. I need to blow my nose anyway. Alright, so pick this back up in a second. You're going to notice a slight pause here, guys. Just hold on. Okay, all charged up. So, what do we got in green? Let's see. The old common Garrick's Companion, I believe it was, the 3/2 for green. Still in here. The rare that replaces Garrick's Pack Leader is a 7/7 for 5 and double green. Trample. Play with the top card of your library revealed. If it's a creature, you may cast it as though it were in your hand. And we've got a new Garrick. This is not the original Garrick, Master of the Wild. This is Garrick Primal Hunter. 2 and triple green, comes in with 3 loyalty counters. Add a counter to put a 3/3 beast into play under your control. Pull 3 counters off him to draw cards equal to the greatest power among creatures you control. Pull 6 counters for a 6/6 green worm token for each land you control. That's some pretty saucy stuff. I kind of like the original Garrick better. And, yeah, you know. I think it's really strange, though, that they bother to print a new Garrick in M12 when they've got a new Garrick coming out in Innistrad. No, I didn't say there was a spoiler coming. Whatever, I'm not going to describe it for you. But really? You publish a new Garrick 3 months before you publish a new Garrick? That's wacky. Jade Mage. Here we have the green member of the Mage cycle. It's a colors and a green for 2/1. Pump 2 colors and a green, and it gives you a 1/1 sap-rolling token. That's pretty saucy. That's massive card advantage. You can generate a horde of creatures really fast. Hunter's Insight. It's an interesting card. I really don't think it's terrifyingly viable. I've seen it used to good effect once or twice. It's 2 colors and a green for an instant. Choose target creature you control. Whenever that creature would deal combat damage this turn to a player or planeswalker, draw that many cards. That can get pretty saucy too. Overrun, it's a classic. 2 and triple green sorcery. Creatures you control get +3/+3 and trample till end of turn. That's pretty spiffy. I believe it was first printed in Tempest. That's funk. That will like turn what looks like that can easily turn what looks like a losing situation into a win. You know, it does things. Carnage Worm, what's this? Bloodthirst. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Bloodthirst from Ravnica block is making a comeback in the core set on new cards, no less. We've got a 6/6 Trample Worm for 6 and a green with Bloodthirst 3. That is, when it hits the board, if your opponent was dealt damage this turn, it comes into play with that, with 3+1/+1 counters. Kid signs, fun stuff. It's a fun little mechanic. It encourages aggressiveness, all well and good. It encourages something that's a good habit to get into for things like tournament play, which is waiting until your second main phase to play, put more things into play. Perfectly honest, that's something I frequently forget to do myself, and I'm not exactly new at this game, you know. But yeah, I know we all have our little bad habits. Though in my case, it's one that just bites me in the butt. It's not something people are really going to find annoying. One of the things that tends to drive me nuts is when people untap before they do their upkeep and draw steps. Like, wait a minute. Brain fart. Yeah, that's the order you're supposed to do it. People who draw their card before they're untap and upkeep. I'm sorry. Wow, yeah, I'm tired. I didn't sleep last night. You know, I laid down, I wanted to get some rest, I couldn't sleep. I don't know what happened. But oh well, right? Gladecover Scout. It's a single green for a 1/1 hexproof. It's kind of spiffy. You know, just a little bread and butter thing for the new mechanic. They had the 3/1 wolf for 2 colors and a green from previous sets. That said, it can't be the target of spells or abilities your opponents control. Well, they just shortened that to hexproof and gave them reminder text. Yay. Right? Titanic Growth, it's the replacement for Giant Growth. It costs 1 more mana. It makes the creature +4/+4 instead of the +3/+3 on Giant Growth. I seriously do not see any valid reason why Giant Growth needed to be replaced with this. This is dumb. You know, it's newness for the sake of newness. Nah, yeah, just nah. Lurking Croc, 2 colors and a green for a 2/2 Bloodthirst 1 with Island Walk. You know, it's a way for green to try and sit there and like screw blue's game plan up. All well and good, right? We've also got Giant Spider returning. Some people said it wasn't. It is. It's here. What else we got? Stingfling Spider. Stingerfling Spider. It's a 2/5 with reach for 4 and a green. When it hits the board, destroy target creature with flying. Oh, that's kind of interesting. Seems we've got it's not the first time we've had more than one spider in a core set. Arachnid Spinner. Now we're getting silly. 5 and a green for a 5/7 reach. That thing's got a big body. Oh, and you can tap an untapped spider you control, search your graveyard or library for a card named Arachnid Web, and put it onto the battlefield attached to a target creature. And we have Arachnid Web, which is one of a handful of green control cards. It's 2 colors and a green. It's effectively an arrest. That is, enchanted creature cannot attack, block, or use activated abilities. However, at the end of each turn, if that creature has a power of 4 or higher, you sacrifice the web. So it'll provide you a temporary, unless you've got spiders, it'll provide you a temporary lockdown against the big creature, or just permanently lock down little ones. Arachnus Web is one of the reasons why in draft I like Greatsword, because Greatsword just totally screws up Arachnus Web. It's like, oh, you put an Arachnus Web on that 2/2 creature? Okay, no problem. I'll swap Greatsword over to it. Get that web out of here. Kid science, fun stuff. Let's go moving on to red. We have Volcanic Dragon, originally from, I want to say Mirage? Pretty sure it was Mirage. 4 and double red for a 4/4 flyer haste. It's an uncommon, so that's not so bad. I mean, if it was a rare, I'd say he's behind the power curve, but he's not. He's an uncommon. He's pretty solid. He's not going to see tournament play. We all know this. But, you know what? He's great for the kids. He's awesome and limited. And that's what it really comes down to. Most of the cards in the game really are for the casual crowd or for the limited events. And that's the long and short of it. I mentioned that before. Got the Flame Blast Dragon, 4 and double red for a 5/5 flyer. So far it looks a lot like Shivan Dragon, don't it? Whenever Flame Blast attacks, you may pay X in red. If you do, Flame Blast deals X damage to target creature or player. That's funk. One of the overlooked abilities on this, him, in addition to, for example, Blind Zealot from New Phyrexia, when the ability goes on the stack, that's when you choose a target. You have to have a target before you put the ability on the stack. Which means you can spend absolutely no mana whatsoever and wipe out, you know, any of those creatures that say when this becomes the target of a spell or ability, sacrifice it. He kills those at a cost of 0 mana just by attacking. Kid science, fun stuff. Or at least one. Chandra's Phoenix. Hey, look, guys, it's a 3rd flyer in red. Granted, they're all rare. Well, you got an uncommon and 2 rares, but yeah, flyers in red. Flyers in red is funky. Red used to be a really strong color for flyers. They got away from that for a long time, and they're kind of, sort of letting it go for now. I don't mind. I really don't. Generally, your strongest colors for flyers are usually white and blue, but red's getting a healthy amount. Chandra's Phoenix, it's the new rare Chandra item. It's replacing Chandra's Spitfire, which was an uncommon. The Phoenix is a 2/2 for a colorless and double red flying haste. If an opponent is dealt damage by a red instant sorcery or planeswalker you control, that is red, red instant or sorcery, or red planeswalker you control, return Phoenix from your graveyard to your hand. That's nice. That's really nice. That goes especially nice, for example, with, say, Chandra's Outrage, I believe it was, or Chandra's Rage, whatever that gets called. The 2 and double red for 4 to a creature and 2 to its controller. Oh, yeah. It's like, yeah, I lay waste to your creature, I get my Phoenix back. Tectonic Rift. Here's something interesting. For 3 and a red sorcery, 4 mana, you nuke a land, and creatures without flying cannot block this turn. So they're trying to combine 2 not particularly popular effects into 1 card to see if it's going to be playable. It's alright. It's nothing to write home about. I've yet to see anyone really abuse it, but it's alright, you know. Crimson Mage are pretty much the weakest of the mages. 2/1 for a colorless and a red, pump red to give creature you control haste till end of turn. Don't get me wrong, haste isn't bad, but it only matters once for each creature. That's it. You have a 1-turn window of opportunity for that ability to be useful. I just don't like it. I really don't. Circle of Flame, it's interesting. It's a defensive red spell. You don't see too many of those. Deals 1 damage to each creature without flying that's attacking you. That's kind of funky. I like it, though. I really do like it. I think it's a great concept. I think it, you know, I've always had the idea of making like a circle of protection in each color, but having it be like something else thematically and maybe even a little different mechanically. They actually made a black circle in Time Spiral block, but it really wasn't a good card. Then we have a red one, Circle of Flame. All we need now is, what, green and blue? I don't know. Red gets Bloodthirst cards as well. We've only got 2 of them in green that I can think of off the top of my head, and that's that Worm and the Crocodile, Gator, whatever it is. So we have Stormblood Berserker, an uncommon. He's a colors in red for a 1/1, Bloodthirst 2. Cannot be blocked by except by 2 or more creatures. You need at least 2 creatures to block this guy, and if he came in with Bloodthirst, he's a 3/3. That's not bad. That's pretty saucy. Blood Ogre, he's a common. He's a 2/2 for 2 and a red. He's got First Strike and Bloodthirst 1. Alright, right away, a 2/2 for 2 cults in a red at common in red. At one point in time, was Grey Ogre. It was a vanilla 2/2. Head and shoulders above that. It's got Bloodthirst 1 and First Strike. I mean, that's pretty hard to argue against, you know? Speaking of such things, especially like, you know, power creep and whatnot, Gorehorn Minotaurs, 2 colors, double red, Bloodthirst 2, 3/3. Beforehand, if you expected to pay 4 mana for a 5/5, you were pitching a card at random from your hand, and it was a rare. It was called Bolduvian Horde. It was in alliances. These days, it's a common, and all you have to do for it to be a 5/5 is nick your opponent during the turn. If you didn't, he's just going to come in as a 3/3. It's not bad. You know? Speaking of nicking your opponent, Grim Lavamancer reprinted. Now here's another fun thing as well. Because of the way they rule DCI rules tournament legality, M11 is still, even though M12 is out, M11 is still technically legal until Innistrad hits. Which means right now you have Lightning Bolt you have Lightning Bolt and Prodigal Pyromancer being perfectly standard legal. Pyromancer's not going to see any real play. That probably, I don't think it has. Lightning Bolt, oh hell yes it will. Grim Lavamancer, red for 1/1, red and tap, exile 2 cards from your graveyard, deals 2 damage to target creature or player. Okay. Goblin Fire Slinger, 1/1, tap for 1 damage to target player for red. He's mostly there as a Bloodthirst enabler, really. Well, more goblins. Goblin Arsonist, he's a 1/1 for red. When he goes to the graveyard from play, he deals 1 damage to target creature or player. He's pretty much a post M10 rules replacement for Mog Fanatic. And then he's not terrifyingly bad at it. Goblin Bang Chuckers, 2 calls double red for 2/2, tap, flip a coin. If you win the flip, deals 2 damage to target creature or player. If you lose, deals 2 to itself. It's at best ho-hum. Goblin Grenade, reprinted in core set. That's pretty saucy. Red, sorcery, sack Goblin, 5 to target creature or player. Oh, and we've also got Shock and Incinerate in the core set. And of course Fireball's been reprinted. So, you know, up until like the end of the month, we're looking at standard, where we have Shock, Incinerate, Lightning Bolt, Grim Lavamancer. I mean, it's like, really, guys? Really? That's a standard with a lot of cheap burn. Wall Torches, new card. It's a 4/1 defender. It's kind of odd to see them printing new walls, but granted, there aren't a lot of really good walls. Although instead of Wall of Torches, they should have went with Wall of Razors. It's First Strike. Come on, guys. I want to say it was a 3/1, though. I'm not 100% certain. Excuse me. Scrambleverse does weird things. It's 6 double red sorcery. Basically, each non-land permanent gets reassigned to a different player and then untapped. Yeah. Well, actually, not to a different player, just assigned to a player at random. But it's wonky. Storm Surge, it's basically a one-sided Pandemonium for more mana. Pandemonium was like 3 in a red, if I recall correctly. This is 5 in a red. Whenever a creature comes into play under your control, the enchantment deals damage equal to the... No, whenever a creature comes into play under your control, the creature deals damage equal to its power to target creature or player. Pandemonium was a little bit different. It wasn't under your control, it was anybody's. And the control of the creature chose the target. So, yeah, funk. Alright, let's move on to black. We've got Sorin's Vengeance. Yes, Liliana Vess, out of M12. She's getting a new Planeswalker in Innistrad. It's all well and good. We've got Sorin Markov, originally from Zendikar block, as the black Planeswalker now. All well and good. Sorin's Vengeance is 4 and triple black for sorcery that deals 10 damage to a target player. You gain 10 life. I don't like it. It's just too damn high on the mana curve. But that's the rare Sorin card. I think I got the common one here, and let's see if I come across it in a minute. Monomania, 3 double black, sorcery, target player chooses a card in his hand and discards the rest. Meh. It doesn't excite me. Royal Assassin, always fun to see a classic like him in print. 1 double black for a 1/1 tap to destroy target tapped creature. We've talked about this guy before, I'm certain, like in Revised or 4th or something. You know, he's solid for what he does. I mean, tournament viable this day and age? Oh, hell no. But he's solid. Smallpox, it's a miniature version of the old card Pox. Black, sorcery, each player loses a life, discards a card, sacks a creature, sacks a land. Onyx Mage. Oh, dear me, oh my. Onyx Mage. Color's black, he's a 2/1, pump a cult to black to give target creature you control death touch to end of turn. That's pretty solid. Call to the Grave, I believe, is a new one. I'm not 100% certain. I can't recall. 4 and a green for an enchantment. 4 and a green. 4 and a black. Wow. Wow, I must be really tired. 4 and a black for an enchantment. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player sacks a non-zombie creature. At the beginning of the end step, if no creatures are on the battlefield, sacrifice Call to the Grave. This gets pretty much used as a way to clear enemy boards. Really great if you have, you know, something that you can bring, you know, some kind of reusable reanimation. Zombie Infestation. Pitch 2 cards from your hand to put a 2/2 black zombie token. It's an enchantment for a cult and a black. It's not really a high draft priority card for most people, but it's okay. I mean, I'm not going to say it's anything to write home about. It's not fantastic, but you know what? Late game lets you pitch, you know, useless lands to put a creature into play. You know. Hideous Visage. Here's an interesting one. Fear's been gotten rid of. The Fear keyword's been retired. We have Intimidate now, which is similar to Fear. Fear was creature could only be blocked by black or artifact creatures. Intimidate is creature can only be blocked by creatures that share a color with the creature or artifact creatures. Technically, Intimidate is slightly worse for some creatures. Because, for example, if you give Intimidate to a Sliver Queen, it makes no difference. Oh no, Sliver Queen's intimidating, holy crap! She can only be blocked by white, black, blue, red, green, or artifact creatures. What does that mean she can't be blocked by? Eldrazi? Holy crap, wow, that's amazing! Maybe that's what's going to defeat the Eldrazi when they eventually end up bringing them back. Yes, these big, huge, beings of death and destruction. What are the Eldrazi afraid of? Sliver queens with Intimidate. Oh, jeez. Well, anyway, Hideous Visage, 2 and a black for a sorcery, gives all of your critters Intimidate. Break Disaster, originally from Zendikar block. I'm tempted to say it was in Rise of the Eldrazi, but don't quote me. 2 double black enchantment, or enchants a creature or land. When enchanted permanent becomes tapped, destroy it. It's ghetto removal. It's not very efficient. It's not terrifyingly good. It's not going to see constructed play, and we all know it. Not unless someone's desperate or whatever. Ring Flash, black, instant. Target creature gets -3, -1 till end of turn. It's alright. When I first saw it, I thought it was an enchantment, which would have made it much better than it actually is, but, well. Drifting Shade, we saw a Shade for 4 and a black. That was a 2/2 flyer in the last set, and he inflated +1/+1 for a Colors and a black. This one's a 1/1 flyer for 3 and a black, and he gets +1/+1 for black. This guy's pretty solid, actually. He's not usually a high priority pick, but he's pretty solid. Rune Scarred Demon. The demon is dead by my hand. Anyways, Rune Scarred Demon, 5 double black, 6/6 flying. When he hits the board, tutor for a card, put it in your hand. Other than the redonky huge casting cost, he's pretty solid. If you have a way to pitch him early and reanimate him, go for it. Just go for it. We've got a bunch of vampires in this set. They're keeping up the vampire theme that we had in M11 and Zendikar, and which is also going to be continued into Innistrad. We have the Bloodseeker. It's a 1/1. When a dude enters the battlefield under opponent's control, you may have them lose a life. We've got the Bloodlord of Vosgoth, which I believe was also the pre-release card. Or was the pre-release card Chandra's Phoenix and he was the release card? I can't remember. It's not important. But he's a 3 colorless and double black for a 3/3 flyer. Whenever you cast a vampire creature spell, it gains Bloodthirst 3, and he has Bloodthirst 3. Yeah. Nice. We've also got, bam, Sorin's Thirst. There's the common Sorin card. Black, black, instant, 2 to target creature, gain 2 life. It's not bad. Dusk Hunter back at the bat. It's a 1/1 flying with Bloodthirst 1 for a Colors and a black. It's okay. Blood Rage Vampire. It's a 3/1 with Bloodthirst 1 for 2 Colors and a black. It's serviceable. It's nothing to write home about. You know, he doesn't excite anybody. This, on the other hand, excites people. This thing is, I don't know, I doubt it's seeing any real constructed play, but people snap him up in draft. He's easily first pick worthy. He's a 2 colors and double black for a 2/2 Bloodthirst 2 lifelink. So if you've done any if you've damaged your opponent this turn, you're getting a 4/4 lifelinker. That's pretty saucy. Tormented Soul. It's a 1/1 unblockable that cannot block. It's kind of weird, but it's a great Bloodthirst enabler. Taste of Blood, black, sorcery, deal 1 damage to a target player, gain a life. It's a Bloodthirst enabler. That's pretty much the only reason why it was printed. Pretty much the only reason. Blue. We got the Merfolk Mesmerist. Colors in a blue for a 1/2. Blue, tap, mill your opponent for 2 cards. It's okay, it's nothing spectacular. But I will also say this, if you get the right cards in the proper quantities, you can make mill work in draft. I crap you not, at least in M12, I've seen it done. I've seen it done really nasty and fast. Jace's Archivist, interesting little card, colorless, double blue, 2/2. Blue, tap, each player discards their hand, then draws cards equal to the greatest number of cards discarded this way by a player. So, for example, if you've got 1 card in your hand and your opponent's got 6, blue, tap, you each pitch your hands, you both draw 6. Kid science, fun stuff. Mind Unbound, 4 and double blue, enchantment. At the end of your upkeep, put a lore counter on Mind Unbound, then draw cards. Draw a card for each lore counter on it. This goes incredible with Jace's Erasure. Yeah, I draw cards, you mill. If you have more than one Jace's Erasure, you're decking your opponent in very short order. At least in draft. You know, it's a card you really have to build around. I mean, the card advantage sounds really strong, but but if you don't have something to do with it, you're very quickly filling up your hand with stuff you can't use. Because you don't have the mana to do anything with it, you know? Azer Mage. Colors in a blue, it's the last of the mages. For 2/1, pump 3 colors in a blue to draw a card. That's pretty strong. I mean, it's card advantage, pure. It's 8 minutes, you know? Honestly, I think the blue and the green mages are probably the 2 strongest, with the white and the black close behind, and the red is still sitting at the starting line, which is ironic because he gives due taste. Bell Tower Sphinx from Ravnica, reprinted. It's a 2/5. Whenever he's dealt damage, the controller of that source of damage mills cards equal to the damage dealt to the Sphinx. Kind of interesting. Sphinx of Uthun, or as I call him, Sphinx of Fact or Fiction. He's 5 and double blue for a 5/6 flyer that when he comes into play, you Fact or Fiction. For those who don't know, Fact or Fiction was an instant. You basically look at your top 5 cards of your, 4 or 5, top 5 of your library. You put them into 2 face-up piles. Oh, correction. Okay, yeah, it's a little bit different from Fact or Fiction. Fact or Fiction was, if I recall correctly, Fact or Fiction was you put them in 2 piles and choose one. I can't remember clearly now, but yeah, Sphinx here is your opponent looks at your top 5, divides them into 2 face-up piles, you pick one, and the other goes into your grave. Master Thief, I'm pretty sure his note's 2 and double blue for a 2/2. When he hits the board, gain control of an artifact. He's okay. Nothing exceptional, but he's okay. Turn to Frog. I can't even remember what it was called. The card in the last set that turned a creature into a 1/1 till end of turn. Illustration had a cat sitting on it playing with a ball of yarn. Yeah, I hit the 30 limit on it, or 30-35 limit, whatever it is. I can't remember. But yeah, it's like 30-35. 30 minutes and 35 seconds. I don't know why it has this weird limit like that. I'm guessing it's because of buffer space in the camera itself. I don't know. If I had the camera set for lower resolution, I'd probably have a longer video restriction. I'm not certain. But yeah, Turn to Frog. I want to say their old one was like, what was it? Diminish? Was it Diminish? I'm not going to be happy till I find it, am I? That's not it. Come on. There it is. Yes, it was Diminish. No, it wasn't playing with the ball of yarn. It's playing with, looks like a Baloth. It's playing with a baby Baloth. But anyway, yeah, Turn to Frog. It's slightly better. Costs an extra colorless. Still a colorless and a blue. Still cheap. Still an instant. Creature comes a 1/1 and loses all abilities. The loses all abilities part is really nice, and that's my computer rebooting because I want to make sure there's no craziness going on in the cache or anything like that when I go to upload the videos. Yay. So, yeah, I mean, it's a ghetto removal card. It's a removal card the same way Giant Growth used to be a removal card, or these days, Titanic Growth, or whatever the hell they want to call it. Yeah. Frost Breath. It's pretty new. It's 2 and a blue, instant. Tap up the 2 target creatures. They don't untap during their controller's next untap step. That's nice. It opens holes in your opponent's defense, and it keeps that hole locked down for a while. So that can do mean stuff. That can do seriously mean stuff. Chasm Drake, kind of interesting. 4 blue, 3/3 flyer. When it attacks, target creature gains flying till end of you control gains flying till end of turn. Kind of funky. He brings a buddy up in the air with him. Not completely bad. Even Fleetwing, 2/2 flying, hexproof. Yes, there's another hexproof, guys. So far, we've got an equipment that grants hexproof. A couple of creatures in green with hexproof, at least one in blue, kid science, fun stuff. Much like Shroud, hexproof is associated with colors of green and blue. Yay! Skywinder Drake, he's a 3/1 flyer that can only block creatures with flying, but he's for 2 colors and a blue. He's a 3-power flyer for 3 mana. You know, drawback, even with the drawback, that's not bad. Ampton Cutthroat, on the other hand, is kind of bad. He's 3 and a blue for a vanilla 2/4. He's a filler card at best. He's a filler in limited. He's never going to see play outside of that, unless people have some sort of weird thing going on. I don't know. Phantasmal Bear. We have some old skulking mechanic, or you might want to call it the illusion mechanic these days, I guess, where sacrifice creature, if it's targeted, makes another return. We've got a 2/2 for a single blue mana. You know what? You're looking at something that's above the curve, really. So yeah, you don't be surprised that you're getting a drawback on it. You know. We also have the Phantasmal Dragon, a 5/5 flyer for 2 and double blue with that same drawback. Once again, you're looking at something that's above the curve here. I mean, in any color, not just its own. I mean, you're not getting a 5/5 flyer for 4 mana in any other color. You're just not. Not for 4 mana. Phantasmal Image. He's basically a colorless and a blue for a clone that's still an illusion, in addition to the whatever creature types it picks up, and has the drawback, even after it copies. So it's kind of interesting. It's kind of funky, you know? Be nice if there was a way around that drawback. Oh wait, there is. There's Lord of the Unreal, who's for double blue, is a 2/2. That gives all illusion creatures you control +1/+1 and hexproof. Yeah. As I'm fond of saying, he does funk. So, I've now got a video that's in 3 sections on the memory card and the camera. I'm going to splice them all together, get them loaded up on YouTube, and then I'm thinking I'm going to crash because I'm tired. Alrighty. I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Be good, be safe, be something, yada yada, so forth. Emphasis on the whatnot. Emphasis on the whatnot. Latest.